afternoon from Los Angeles, and welcome to Stock Market Today, sponsored by Interactive Brokers. Now, on today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the chart action for Microsoft, SolarEdge, and Huya. But before we do that, let's take a look at those major indexes. It's Alyssa Corum here with Ken Shreve. And Ken, we faded quite a bit heading into the close here. The Nasdaq closing with just a fractional gain in the S&P 500 and Dow turning slightly negative by the end of the day. So what do you make of today's action after a pretty positive or constructive session that we had yesterday?
Yeah, well, I mean, yesterday the Nasdaq was down 1.2% intraday, rallied all the way back to, I think, for a loss of just 1/10 of 1%. Today it was up 0.7% and faded pretty badly. So not uncommon to see price action like this when an index is close to an all-time high. It's kind of bumping up, getting close to its all-time high. But the price action today was reminiscent of last week, specifically on Thursday, where the Nasdaq rose sharply early and then faded. So it's reminiscent of stalling action. I guess the silver lining is that volume was pretty light in the stock market today. It looks like preliminary data showing volume on the Nasdaq and NYSE coming in lower than Wednesday. So disappointing close for the Nasdaq, but really doesn't change the fact that the market is still in a confirmed uptrend, and Nasdaq, S&P, Dow still very close to highs.
Yeah, that's right, and we're seeing some interesting action under the surface. So let's get to that. Starting off with Microsoft gapping up on a share buyback announcement to the tune of $40 billion. Also raising its dividend here. So it did try to break out intraday. It looks like it may have closed the session just below that level, up about 1.8% for the day. But a pretty strong move for the biggest stock out there.
Yeah, $1 trillion market cap north of $1 trillion, and Satya Nadella has been on the CEO post there for about 5.5 years. Microsoft has basically quadrupled in price over that time. So news today was a big share buyback. I think the company in 2019 bought back $20 billion worth of stock, so they announced another buyback today, and also an increased dividend. And Microsoft briefly topped a 141.78 buy point. It kind of faded with the market closed in the bottom half of its intraday range, but it did gap up, and still a healthy chart here technically, even though it closed below that 141.78 buy point. So good news from Microsoft, and just faded like the broad market.
Right. So yeah, we'll have to see if it can follow up on those gains and retest that entry. But now let's turn our attention to a weekly chart of SolarEdge, making a very strong move here today, gaining about 8% in very heavy volume. In the group also seeing some strength here, the solar group.
Yeah. The solar stocks have been doing quite well. The solar group today was up 3%. I think out of the 197 industry groups that we track in our database, it was the top performing group, like I said, with a gain of about 3%. So SolarEdge was a leaderboard addition earlier this week when it became apparent the stock was finding support at its 10-week moving average, and it's done well since then. It hit a new high today, probably a little bit extended at this point, but really bullish move for SolarEdge Technologies, and a competitor, First Solar, also had a very good day as well, ticker FSLR. So
right, yeah, and I think looking at that weekly chart here, if you just kind of rewind the clock a little bit to that bottoming base here, this shows you that you shouldn't just focus on the groups that you think are going to keep leading, because leadership can change.
Absolutely.
And look at what an explosive move SolarEdge has made this year.
Yeah, so that red line there, obviously denoting the 10-week moving average, and you had a breakout, and then a couple of visits to the 10-week line, and bullish support again this week. So this is definitely a leader in the group, and like I said, First Solar still forming it. Last check earlier today was forming a nice little base and showing relative strength as well. So solar stocks still ones to keep an eye on here.
Yes, definitely, and we also want to touch on Huya, which had a move of about 8% today, also in big volume, breaking out of a double bottom base here What are your thoughts on this one, Ken?
Well, this is a China-based company that's all about live streaming and gaming, online gaming platforms. So there's definitely new going on here. It's a booming market in China and around the world, for that matter. So Huya is another leaderboard name, and really a nice breakout here over a double bottom buy point of 26.48. Unlike the broad market, which kind of trailed off today,
yes.
Huya looks like it closed right up near its session high, and good volume behind today's move. Another leaderboard stock because of outstanding fundamentals, strong earnings and sales growth. They definitely have that new going on with, again, live streaming, online gaming, and it's just really a solid name out of China.
That's right, yeah. Speaking of strong earnings, analysts projecting 25% bottom line growth this year and then 85% growth for the bottom line the following year. So that is quite impressive. So we'll keep tabs on that one. Head to leaderboard.investors.com for the full rundown on Huya and other leaderboard names. But that is it from us for today. But before we go, we want to let you know that we do have a new episode of the Investing with IBD podcast out now. We have a new episode every Thursday. You can head to investors.com/podcast for the embed on that. And the article with the show notes is coming out very soon. So keep an eye out for that. We had Mark Minervini back on the podcast this week, Stock Market Wizard, sharing some great insights. You don't want to miss it. And also, in case you missed our investing strategies show, that is out. We have a new episode every week where we talk to lots of great strategists and fund managers from the Nasdaq. So check that out at investors.com/investing strategies. This week we had insights on Apple and an ETF having to do with the space economy. So lots of good stuff, Ken.
Always good stuff.
Always good stuff. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.